Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jill, otherwise known as the Enlightened Target, and this channel is devoted to narcissistic abuse awareness and recovery, parental alienation, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and anything and everything having to do with those three main topics. Today we are going to talk about some telltale signs that you are suffering from narcissistic abuse. Because sometimes when you're living it or experiencing it, it is really, really hard to know, especially if you have been abused this way for a long period of time. At the heart of narcissistic abuse is psychological and emotional abuse. And the goal of the psychological abuser is to rob you of your own beliefs and perceptions. Coming out of the fog of psychological abuse is not an event, it's a process. So if you are wondering if you are indeed living through narcissistic abuse, I am going to give you my top signs that you really might be a victim of this. If you're new to this channel, I would like to take a minute and welcome you and invite you to please subscribe and be sure and hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every week. Also, if you are interested in private one-on-one narcissistic abuse recovery coaching with me, please visit my website or send me an email. Both are linked in the description below. So today we're talking about some common signs and symptoms that you may be a victim of narcissistic abuse. And one of the biggest ones would be if you have trouble making decisions. You second guess yourself constantly. You have a real fear of making a mistake or that you will make the wrong decision. This fear can be absolutely debilitating. Usually if you are or have been exposed to long-term narcissistic abuse, making decisions, even some seemingly insignificant decisions, can be incredibly difficult to make. The reason this happens is because we have been ridiculed and criticized or even raged at for so many decisions we have made in the past by the narcissists. Decisions that we wouldn't have thought would have amounted to anything, nor did we think we were making the wrong ones, have been torn apart by the narcissist. We have been mocked, humiliated, degraded, and insulted for any belief or perception that we had that did not align perfectly with the narcissist. And that goes double for any decisions that we have made that the narcissist didn't completely agree with. On top of that, narcissists are famous for constantly moving the goalposts. So no doubt there will have been many times that we believed we were making the decision that the narcissist would have wanted us to make. And lo and behold, they explode and rage that we made a decision that we never dreamed they would have an aversion to. So many times the narcissist only has this violent reaction to the decision you made simply because they wanted to take the opportunity to make themselves feel superior to you. Most times that's all it is. It's not that you did or didn't make the right decision, but rather that it was just a great time for the narcissist to gaslight you, make you doubt yourself, degrade you, and make themselves feel better and superior to you. And this can result in extreme difficulty for the victim when it comes to making even the simplest of decisions. Another indication would be if you doubt your abilities and your competence. This is another very big sign that you might be a victim of narcissistic abuse. Again, narcissists love to take any opportunity that they can to degrade your intellect, your competence, your perceptions, or your abilities to do anything independent of the narcissist. The goal of the narcissist is to gain control over you. They certainly do not want you to have faith or confidence in your abilities because they know you're competent. They know you're capable. They just don't want you to know that. So they will use all kinds of overt and covert manipulations to make you believe that you are unable, you are incompetent, or you're just too stupid to do whatever it is. The problem that happens here is that if we do not understand what the narcissist is, if we think their motivation is coming from a genuine, honest, or even a protective place, we come to accept and believe these things about ourselves, when the reality is nothing could be further from the truth. Next, you have a cruel inner dialogue or inner critic, as it's sometimes referred to. This is nearly always present when you are being exposed to narcissistic abuse, especially if you were raised by a narcissistic parent. The narcissist loves to degrade, criticize, humiliate, ridicule, and destroy all aspects of the victim that they find threatening or difficult to control. And your self-esteem, self-compassion, and self-worth is at the top of the list. And because we are treated like this for years on end and do not know what the narcissist is and what their motivation is, we internalize that voice and we eventually start berating ourselves, not knowing that that voice in our head is the voice of our abuser, not knowing that voice is a liar and not truthful, and not knowing that the things it is saying to us is abusive, cruel, and wrong. Essentially, we start talking to ourselves and treating ourselves no different than the narcissist. If you have a mean, destructive, cruel, and unforgiving inner dialogue or critic, I highly, highly suggest you take a long, hard look at the people that surround you. This is a huge red flag that you have been exposed to a significant amount of narcissistic abuse. Another indication would be if you are self-medicating with drugs or alcohol or other addictive things to make yourself feel better, to silence that inner critic, and to have the courage to face life. It is very common for victims of narcissistic abuse who inevitably will have symptoms of complex PTSD from continual exposure to this type of an environment to be at the least misusing drugs or alcohol or just flat out abusing drugs or alcohol. This is very, very common. When you have to live day in and day out exposed to these people, eventually you are going to want to find some way to escape. Even if you have gotten away from the narcissist, but you have internalized your abuser's voice, your go-to inner dialogue for a real nasty berating and cruel demoralizing sessions about what a horrible person you are or how insignificant you are or what a loser you are, usually eventually you are going to reach for something to escape from the abuse. So if you are regularly using drugs or alcohol to escape from your home life, work life, or the horrible way you think about yourself or talk to yourself, take a real hard look at the people who are surrounding you or who have surrounded you, because there is a pretty high probability that there will be a narcissist or two in close proximity that has been a part of your life for a long time. Another very big indication would be if you are walking on eggshells. Try to anticipate every problem or issue so that you do not anger your partner or parent or boss. If you are paranoid or scared and monitor your every move or everything you say so as not to anger or cause a fight or some kind of an issue with someone in your life, if someone seems to overreact to the smallest things that should not warrant that type of a reaction, and you find yourself walking on eggshells, you are probably dealing with a narcissist. You might also find yourself overanalyzing what you said or did in other circumstances, or be overly concerned that something you said or did will be interpreted by others as wrong or stupid. This can manifest as being a preoccupation with constantly monitoring what you say and do in all kinds of different circumstances. So if you find yourself walking on eggshells or overly worried that you might say or do the wrong thing all the time, there's a good chance that you have been or are being subjected to narcissistic abuse. Another big indication is if you find yourself constantly lowering your standards of what is acceptable behavior, or you are continually having to justify someone's behavior or the way you are being treated. This is a consistent theme for someone who is being exposed to narcissistic abuse, because as we all know, narcissists do and say outrageous things. They are so incredibly selfish and will disregard your feelings or wishes at the drop of a hat. So if you find yourself saying, well, they didn't really mean that, or I know they didn't show up or even call to tell me that they wouldn't be here for our scheduled date, but I wasn't, very excited about going to that concert anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Or he or she is only verbally abusive, so it's not that bad. At least they aren't physically abusing me. I just need to toughen up a little so those things don't hurt my feelings so much. If you are having to adjust your standards for someone you are dealing with on a consistent basis, this is a very, very big red flag. Next, you regularly find yourself trying to prove that you are a good person. This is really, really common in narcissistically abusive relationships because narcissists project their true character, values, and behaviors onto other people, especially those that are closest to them. One of the absolute funniest ones that you will routinely hear a narcissist accuse their victim of being is selfish. You are so selfish, and you're thinking to yourself, are you kidding me? You have got to be kidding me. If that isn't the pot calling the kettle black, my God, he or she is such a hypocrite. And of course, they are a complete hypocrite, but it's deeper than that. They literally project the deep-seated feelings they know and have about themselves that are completely inconsistent with their false self, and take this fake reality they have concocted about themselves onto other people, meaning onto you. So usually you will find yourself having to defend yourself or trying to convince the narcissist that you are not those terrible things, that is not your character, and those things are just simply not true on a regular basis. If this is happening, if you are being accused of things you are not guilty of doing, chances are you're dealing with the narcissist and the narcissist's projections. Okay, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The links are in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone.